Hello everyone, Shadowfry here. For our first game review on this channel, we will take a look at Rift, a fantasy-based MMORPG game published by Trion Worlds. A little information about the game. Rift was launched back in 2011 as a subscription-based MMO. A year later, before its first expansion, Storm Legion, Rift became a free-to-play game and thus far has continued to stay in the same module, with the option for players to become patrons by paying a monthly subscription and getting extra rewards such as cosmetics, different game currency, and so on. However, we're not here to talk about the history of Rift. We're going to take an in-depth look into the game, which features many different options of playstyle. This is a full review by a player who has been sticking into Rift for a couple of years already. I don't want my opinion to be biased, so we'll talk about how the game stands as of today. Follow me as we look into Rift and see if it's worth playing. When you start the game, you will be able to choose between two factions, Guardians and Defiants. Depending on your choice, the game lore will change and you'll be able to create your character. But before we get into that, each faction offers 3 different races that the player can choose from. We have humans, high elves, and we also have the dwarves. Guess what's an MMO without little dwarves? That's for the Guardian side. And for the Defiants, we have the Eth, another human class, the Kalari, which is another type of elf, and we also have the Balmy. I'm not sure what these are, but yes. Each race comes with 2 different passive abilities, but this does not change the combat in any way whatsoever. Once you choose a race, a selection screen will pop and you will have to pick a class out of the 5 classes available. We have Warrior, Cleric, Mage, Rogue, and if you buy the DLC pack, you can also pick the Primalist. The game also gives you a small gear preview so you can see how your character will look like in further levels. Once you pick a class that you like, you can go ahead and pick one of the preset roles that the game will offer you. You can be a tank if you want, pick a DPS role, be a healer, support, or whatever you want. I decided to go for the Huntsman since it's the role that the game recommended me. The character customization in Rift is, well, decent. You have a few sliders here and there. You can change how your eyes, ears, mouth, and nose look. You can pick a different hairstyles. The game does offer you vast options for color palettes for your hair, but some of them have to be acquired with cash. You have a few makeup options with tattoos. You can also change the color of your skin however you want, and you can also mess with the height of your character. Once you finish creating your character, you're going to pick a name, and it's going to bring you into an instance map. And here, you're just going to go into your standard MMO routine, pick up a quest, and go turn in that quest with another person, get another quest, and do what the quest is saying, and so on. From the start of the game, you will see that the game will give you tips and advice on how to work your user interface. And from here on, it just gets repetitive. Get the quest that it's asking you to kill a certain amount of mobs, kill the mobs that it's asking you to kill, kill it, nice. Once you finish killing the mobs that the quest is asking you, you go back to the quest giver, turn in the quest, and you will get rewards such as potions, equipment, and experience. After this, you will get another type of quest, which is pretty much interactive with something. You click on the quest, accept the quest, go interact with the thing that it's telling you to interact once. Go interact with the thing that it's telling you to interact twice, and so on. Go turn in the quest, and then you get more experience. During your stay in the beginning instance, it's going to be the same when it comes to questing. You'll be doing Carnage quest, which considers of you killing many mobs, turning in your quest, getting experience, getting more gear, and so on. It's not going to be until you reach level 6 that you will be able to see a little bit more of the lore of the game. Once you finish your questing in the starting zone, it's going to put you into the actual game, where you can interact with other players, and in here, you're going to be able to finish your quest line, and it's going to bring you into a tutorial on how the combat system and the souls in Rift work. In the cutscene, you'll be introduced into the soul tree, a major combat feature that makes Rift different from another MMOs. The soul tree consists of using 3 different souls for your selected class and spending points depending on your playstyle preference. And the cutscene also briefly explains how spending points in branches can affect the roots of the soul tree, and depending on how many points you spend in each soul, you will be given a different role. Roles play an important part in the game. Each class can do essentially any role they wish. You want to be a cleric that can DPS? Sure. Want to tank as a mage? Why not? A warrior that can heal? Check. The choice is yours to decide. Dungeons in Rift are a big part of the PvE content. With a vast number of dungeons to choose from, Rift applies different mechanics in each fight for every dungeon in the game. In some fights, you can just stand still and DPS. In others, you have to be in the lookout for AoE drops, or be in the constant move. Rift follows the Holy Trinity rule in dungeons. You need a tank, a healer, 2 DPS, and a support. Even though you can queue as support in dungeons, most people tend to ignore being support and just go for a DPS spec because in small parties, being a support is completely useless and it will be better to have more DPS rather than support buffs. Without these dungeons as an easy way to level up and gain more gear, some fights can get repetitive over time. Some people prefer to do other things to level up and don't like the idea of grinding up dungeons. So what do I have to do to reach level cap without the need of grinding dungeons? Don't be sad. Rift has another way to be able to reach max level. One of the game's unique features are the instant adventures. Once you reach level 10, you can start doing instant adventures. By queuing up for an instant adventure, you will be grouped with random players from different servers. In here, everyone will have to complete a set goal by the game and work together as a party to achieve these challenges. Instant adventures work well for new players because the feature allows for scaling when it comes to levels. With this being said, a level 15 can enter a level 40 zone and be scaled up to be able to survive in said zone. However, the number of skills and gear will not change based on your level. This also works for max level players who want to play with their low level friends. A level 65 will be able to mentor down to the zone's appropriate level. Another way to level up is by doing rifts. With the release of Nightmare Tide, Rift's second expansion, Nightmare Rifts were introduced into the game. The goal is to finish as many stages as possible. Normal rifts only last up to 6 stages, but with Nightmare Rifts, you can go on until the players fail to reach a goal or just simply give up. In here, you will face difficult challenges that scale up to how many players are participating in the rift, and the more stages you complete, the better the rewards and the more experience you can gain. Telara is a vast world with many different zones. You can find yourself questing in the deadly plains of Zerathos, where the dead rule and those alive live in fear. You could be hunting down artifacts in the scorching deserts of Shimmersand, or find yourself looking for supplies in the ice-cold mountains of Tarkin Glacier. If you ever get bored of your appearance, you can just travel to a major city, find the barber shop, and it will take you to a character customization screen where you can change your looks. You can pay a small fee by using in-game currency or credits obtained from the cash shop. Using credits also allows you to change your race and gender if you ever get tired of being a human or a male character. Rift also counts with a guild system. Once you join the game, you will be placed into a starting guild. However, you can just go into the Guild Finder tab, check the roles that you want to play, the type of player that you are, click search, and it'll give you many guild names to choose from. I know what you're probably thinking. With so many PvE features, what about PvP? Does PvP play a big part in Rift? Well, yes and no. The PvP community in Rift is small. Once you queue yourself to a warframe, you will most likely get an instant queue. Once you accept, you will be brought into a random warframe and will have to complete a certain goal to be able to win. The goal is different depending on the warframe you have been queued in. Some are capturing flag, gaining territory, holding a certain item for an X amount of time, or domination. PvP does give you rewards and drops after you win a warframe, and they're pretty decent once you fully upgrade them. Rift also comes with an action house. In here, you can buy pretty much anything you want. You can get mounts, level 60 bundles, weapons, gear, or even crafting supplies. All these can be bought with in-game currency. Crafting is not something I'm good at, but Rift gives you 3 slots from crafting professions to choose from the many that we have in the game. Rift has a very decent wardrobe function. You can create your own outfits by mix matching different sets. You can dye them however you want and make your character unique and stand from the crowd. With this comes the Rift store, where you can buy cosmetics using credits. You can get full bundles, dyes, weapon skins, capes, mounts, just about anything, you can name it. With people buying cosmetics with real money comes another problem in Rift. Players can now buy in-content equipment using real cash. Getting credit packs that range from $5 to $100 can make it easy for someone who's a bit left behind to spend a couple of hundreds and get the gear fast. Here you can see my equipment, full tier 3 from head to toe. Took me around 4 months to get it this way. So in other words, Rift can be pay to win in some extent. However, the best of the best equipment can only be found in raids, which usually comes from the final bosses. Oh yeah, this game also has water mounts. Now that I talk about most of the features that Rift has to offer, I will summarize every point so you can get a clear view of how the game is as of today. We will start with the pros and end the video with the cons. For the pros, we have Rift as a game that is friendly to new players. There's many ways to earn experience, such as instant adventures, dungeons, rifts, and so on. Rift has a skill level system, no more having to wait for your low level friend to catch up to you. You can just simply mentor them up to your level or have yourself mentor down, so you can go along with their adventures whenever you can. There are many dungeons in the game. There's different tiers of dungeons. We have normal ones, Storm Legion, Classic Dungeons, and even Namertide Dungeons. Role-playing. In the game there's marriage, housing, emotes, and even a server made just for role-playing, and that's just the start of it. The soul system. This feature makes Rift different from another MMOs. It gives players options so they can play however they want. This is just a small amount of the pros. If I continue, it will take me forever. So now, let's go into the cons of the game. With people being able to buy their gear and weapons with real money using the cash shop, Rift stands as a pay-to-win MMO, and it hurts its raiding community base. Even though you don't need an amazing computer to be able to play Rift, the system itself has a few bugs. Over the years I've been playing Rift, my game always crashes in the middle of raids or even when I'm just trying to log in for the game. Making a character in Rift can be quite difficult. The game only gives players a few options to create their character. You can give it a nice wardrobe and a nice weapon skin, but in your time questing you will find players that look exactly like you. With 5 classes in the game, Rift may try to balance them out, but this is quite the opposite. In each update, Trion tries to balance classes, and this takes the opposite effect by making said class too OP, and players will often complain about this. The questing in Rift is too linear, and it gets boring very quickly. I'll just rather grind dungeons or do instant adventures. Trying to level up and out, it's a nightmare because everything gets too repetitive. Another feature in the game will be the end content. Now, this is one of the topics that I always wanted to discuss in Rift, but by putting this on my list, it will make the video way too long. That's why I decided to create another video that will fully explain the end content. However, I'll give you small previews so you can get an idea how it is. Right now, in my opinion, I would say that the end content is a bit broken. Bosses glitch during fights, and this can put your progression into jeopardy. You can encounter many bugs, and sometimes you can even fall off the maps. I'm not trying to throw dirt into Rift. I love end content as much as the next person does, but when you're trying to become a competitive player, these things can be a hindrance when it comes to completing your goals. With all this being said, would I recommend Rift to those watching this video? I'll give it a soft maybe. If you like doing PvE and are a big fan of housing, Rift hits the bullseye when it comes to this type of content. The PvP community is small but very loyal. However, if you're looking for a game that focuses more on PvP when it comes to end content, Rift may not be the MMO for you. This pretty much wraps up my review in the MMO Rift. I want to thank all of you that are watching this video. Don't forget to leave a comment or like this video. I'll do my best in the future to give you more content on the game Rift or even other MMOs. I didn't talk about most of the features that... But what? Eh? I'm not trying to throw I'll throw dirt at Rift. Throw it. Throw dirt. I don't understand. I have the script right in front of me. Why am I stuttering? I even stutter when I went... I swear I want to go into a corner and cry myself to sleep.